OTAs for the New York Giants starts this week, and on today's show, we're going to look at OTAs and some position battles that will go down and ones that I will be keeping my eyes on as you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. And I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody being here. I hope everybody had a great weekend, and let's dive into it. As OTAs for the New York Giants start on May 27th, so right around the corner, and they're kind of spread out over the next couple of weeks. They'll practice on the 27th and 28th. They'll take the 29th off. Maybe Dave's will take them to a pool or something like that. Maybe they'll go to the Daboll house. I've heard some players have done that before. Then they'll be back on the football field on the 30th. They'll take the early next couple of days off. Then June 2nd and 3rd, they'll practice. On the 4th of June, they will be off. Back on the field on the 5th. And then a couple of days off. Then June 9th, 10th, 12th, and 13th. They will wrap those up, and then they will have veteran mini camp start on the 17th, and that will be a 3-day camp for the New York Giants. And with OTAs here and mini camp around the corner, that means football is going to be back really, really soon. And if you want the Giants to make the playoffs for the first time since Daniel Jones took down the Fighting Vikings, hit that thumbs up icon right now. All right, let's start with this. The first place I'm looking for this football team is always going to be the offensive line. Because I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it thrice. Nothing matters until the offensive line is fixed. And I am going to be so focused on this offensive line in minicamp, OTAs, training camp, and preseason. And the starting right guard spot, in my opinion, is up for grabs. I know you brought back Greg Van Roten, who was your starter there this past year. But we know the New York Giants are moving Evan Neal to right guard. So will Neal have the opportunity to compete for that starting right guard position? You also drafted Marcus Bowe, and there was some thoughts that he could bounce inside to guard. Brian Daboll said they're going to start him out at right tackle, but I think it would be really eliminating a couple of options and cutting yourself short if you don't let Greg Van Roten, Evan Neal, Marcus Bowe, maybe even a Jake Kubis go head-to-head in OTAs, minicamp, and training camp this offseason and find out who the best right guard is. Competition usually always brings out the best in people, and I think the Giants should allow themselves to have a competition for that right guard spot. So Greg Van Roten, Evan Neal, Jake Kubis, and Marcus Bowe, I think should all be able to compete for that spot, as I do with the wide receiver 4 position. We know that Malik Neighbors is wide receiver 1. He's special. I think this time next year, he'll be a bona fide top 5 guy. We know wide receiver 2 is going to be Darius Slayton. You brought him back on a pretty solid contract. Wan'Dale Robinson is your starting slot receiver, and there's not really any competition for him there. I think Jalin Hyatt has the upper leg on anyone to be that wide receiver 4, but does a guy like little Jordan Humphrey push Jalin Hyatt? Do the Giants bring somebody in like Gabe Davis to push a Jalin Hyatt? Does Amir Smith-Marset, the punt returner and kick returner, think that he has anything to show? Does Zach Pascal still have anything left in the tank? Does Bryce Ford-Wheaton, the Randy Moss of UDFAs, is he ever going to live up to that spot? So I think Jalin Hyatt is going to be wide receiver 4, and I think he will win that position. But at the end of the day, it should be a competition, and I want it to be Jalin Hyatt. We need it to be Jalin Hyatt. So I'm excited about that one. That one should be a lot of fun. But, man, it should be competition. I'm hoping, I'm wishing, I want it to be Jalin Hyatt. You use a third-round pick on him. You trade it up for him. But it shouldn't just be gifted to him. He should have to earn it, and I'm hoping it goes his way. Because if Jalin Hyatt's good, it's going to make the New York Giants a little bit better. Defensive tackle 2 next to Dexter Lawrence, I also think is up for grabs. The New York Giants' run defense was a joke last year, especially after Dexter Lawrence went down. And Joe Schoen made it a priority to bring some NFL talent to that depth chart for competition this offseason. Roy Robertson-Harris comes over from the Seattle Seahawks. You still have Rakeem Nunez-Roches. Shout out to Nacho there. Jeremiah Ledbetter comes over from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was one of the better run-stuffing defensive tackles in free agency. Darius Alexander is here. Does year 2 Elijah Chapman have anything to say about that position? Jordan Riley has flashed in the NFL before. DJ Davidson, his time is coming up. There's an opportunity for somebody to claim that spot. Maybe it's a job that gets done by committee, and maybe the New York Giants just do what they can to patch that spot up. I don't know. Still, Dre Patterson is still the best defensive line coach in the NFL, and I'm hoping that he could take one of these balls of clay and mold him and turn him into a beast. Maybe that's Darius Alexander. Maybe it's somebody else. Keep your eyes on Jeremiah Ledbetter playing early downs early on in the season and showing that he can get off blocks and make plays at or near the line of scrimmage. I know everybody thinks that Jameis Winston is just guaranteed to be QB2 on this team, and if you made me push my back up against a cliff and I had to tell you right now who I thought QB2 was going to be, yeah, I would roll with Jameis Winston. But hey, if Jackson Dart comes out and he lights OTAs on fire, he lights minicamp on fire, he lights training camp and the preseason on fire, who's to say the New York Giants don't look to trade Jameis Winston or potentially cut Jameis Winston? There's a couple teams right now that could use a veteran QB on their roster. And look, I think the end of the road is here for Tommy DeVito, but Cutlets knows that. And he's going to give it his all, and he's going to compete, and he's going to perform and go out there and attack practice like this is his last opportunity, because it is. It is his last opportunity to be a New York Giant. I think Jameis Winston will be QB2, and I think if Russell Wilson, knock on wood, has another preseason injury like he did with the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, or has some of those nagging injuries that he's had in the past, and it's week 3, maybe they go to Jameis Winston. And maybe I'm just drunk off the Jackson Dart Kool-Aid. I've been drinking red and blue. But, man, I think there is a spot where this guy comes in and he's got the playbook down, and he's ready to roll. And the players and fans gravitate towards him. And he could maybe be the first crack to be QB2. I don't know. Maybe it potentially happens. If it does, you're going to want his jersey. And you can get it at chatsports.com/Dart. Get your Jackson Dart jersey. Jackson Dart. I felt like John Gruden saying that. Chatsports.com/Dart. He's Evil Knievel. If you haven't, look, we don't like to promote other people's content. If you haven't watched the John Gruden Jackson Dart pre-draft interview, go do it. And then you'll understand what I mean by drinking the Jackson Dart Kool-Aid. Get your jersey, though, chatsports.com/Dart. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description. I also think RB3 for the New York Giants is up for grabs. Whether you want to say Tyrone Tracy's the walkaway RB1 or Cam Scattaboo is the walkaway RB2, that is fine. But Eric Gray knows that his time is now or never with the New York Giants. I've always been a big Dante Turbo Miller guy. And look, I think that Devin Singletary will hold down the fourth, the veteran. I thought he was a little bit underappreciated by Giants fans last year. I know he had some costly turnovers, and the injuries started to pick up for him as the season went on. But there's a world where Eric Gray or Dante Turbo Miller come out and just look great, and the New York Giants look at Singletary as a guy that they could cut after June 1st and save $1.5 million. And they move on from him. I want to keep Singletary. I think Scattaboo can learn from him. I think Tracy can learn from him. And I still think there's juice left in the tires. Like Motor Singletary is a guy that could still come out and churn out 3.5, 4 yards per carry. I know it's nothing to brag about, boast about, be excited about, but I'll take a tough 3.5, 4 yards in a cloud of dust any day of the week. And if that's my RB3 who can catch the ball a little bit, be a leader, knows the Daboll offense, I'm cool with that. I think it'll be Singletary, but if Eric Gray has anything to say about it, with his NFL career in jeopardy, he's going to come out with his hair on fire. I expect him to do so, and it'll be a position that'll be fun to watch, even if RB3 isn't the biggest battle left in camp. What position battle are you looking forward to the most? I don't know if I think I'm missing any, just off the top of my head. Like, we talked quarterback, we talked right guard, maybe swing tackle. The Giants brought 2 guys in free agency, and Stone Forsythe and James Hudson. Maybe swing tackle will be a position battle to watch. Tight end 2 potentially with Manhertz and Daniel Bellinger. CB1 and CB2 are solidified. Slot is solidified. Inside linebackers are solidified. Safeties are solidified. Edges. Maybe starting edge. Is it Abdul Carter or Kayvon Thibodeau? Did I miss that one? I don't know. If you watch this far in the show, you get a little bonus juice right there. It's going to be a fun camp. Going to be a lot to talk about, and we're going to break it down on this channel as well on my social medias. So give me a follow on Twitter. Give me a follow on Instagram at Marshall Green. Hit me up, and let's go Giants.